actually write the dialogue first. That sort of comes to me. My first draft tends to be a couple people talking to each other with things in brackets, like, this needs a setting. What's going on here? Where am I? I don't know. But I tend to hear voices. I actually took, that sounds really wrong. Yeah, no, I don't, I do talk to myself. Yeah, that's true. Okay, never mind. I took some courses in college well, I took a lot of creative writing courses, and I didn't really like them, but I took some playwriting courses that were actually really good. And I did my senior thesis, I wrote a play, which was never produced because it featured a live fire-breathing dragon on the stage. Funny that. After that, I thought perhaps novels would be really what I should be doing. Anyway, so the dialogue kind of comes to me first when I hear these characters talking, like between my fingers, not just randomly in the room. And that's what comes first, and then I figure out sort of where they are and where they come from. But it starts with the voices for me. And I do occasionally find the experience of not knowing what the voice is when I first start, and discovering it as I go along, and then going back and saying, no, this is who you are, and then rewriting it with that voice in mind. But I really enjoy writing dialogue. I like the banter and so forth. I think that's one of the parts where it comes to mind. And usually I have to step back and fill in, like, okay, let's around them. What does it look like? Where are we?
Well, my standard answer to that kind of question is, well, you should read your work aloud. But I don't do that. It's like I totally believe in it, but, you know, my books are 450 pages long. So I do sometimes practice dialogue in the car, you know, and, you know, speaking of voices, you know, go down the road, you know, talking to yourself. One of the big challenges with this series is I have a character, Han Alistair, who is transforming himself as you go through the books. And to start out with, he's a street thief. He has the street slang that he uses sometimes, and well, he uses it all the time. And did you know that there are slang dictionaries online? There's slang dictionaries for like 19th century British street slang, and so a lot of the terms that I get, you know, come directly from there. And some actually have persisted to the present day, like the word crib was a term that was used for a hideout. And my editor wrote too contemporary on it, but it really was back in that time. But it's really it's been challenging to gradually, as Han is tutored by Reza, to have him lose some of those aspects of his voice and become someone who can actually navigate in blue-blood society.
I guess I would disagree, read it out loud, and I try to write a scene with as little dialogue as possible, and then if it gets too complicated, trying to explain what's happening without having people speak, then I put dialogue in, but I don't feel comfortable writing dialogue, so maybe that's new for me.
Maybe that's how come we got the phrases you got to cut.
I love those phrases.
I like a lot of them too. Okay, you had a question?
Yeah. My question is, when you're making like a book series with multiple books, how do you decide like when to split it up, like how many books it should be, how long each book should be?
Well, everyone who knows anything about me knows that I always write really detailed outlines ahead of time, so I have everything all planned out. Not. So I'm just the kind of planner that my current trilogy turned into 4 books. You know, it's on page 576, and things showed no sign of clearing up. I mean, what you look for is a natural ending place. The first 2 books in the series, at the end of The Demon King, the characters are getting ready to start on a journey. And that seemed like a natural place to stop the one book and start with another one. As a matter of fact, at the end of Exiled Queen, it's the same thing. Circumstances have been altered pretty dramatically, but again, they're leaving one place and going to another. And so it seemed to make sense that you could leave one book and go to another. The business of cliffhangers has been coming up lately. With my first series, the first 2 books were really written so they could be standalones. You could read either one in any order and be happy, hopefully. By the time you got to the 3rd book, you really should have read the 2nd book. This series is really, I used to say it was a true trilogy, and now I don't know, true quartet, is that what you know, where the story arc actually goes over all 4 books. So you're not going to come to a satisfactory ending, where you feel settled as a reader when you get to the end of the book. So I was saying earlier, this book came out last Tuesday, and Tuesday afternoon about 2 o'clock, a boy emailed me and said, "I'm done. When's the next book coming out?" So
we're going to take you right into the chicken to read.
I know. I can't keep up with that. So, it's not nearly like the end of Catching Fire. I don't know if the rest of you read that, where you're like, District 9 is gone, or was it 9?
12.
12. District 12 is gone. So, and then the other thing is that your editor begins to get edgy if the book gets too long. So you're like, okay, let's stop here. Anybody else?
I have a good question. I want to know the
Well, Yvonne, you said you're working on a sequel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you have that in mind when you were writing Dead Beautiful, or?
I did. I did, but every day. In the morning I wake up, I don't know what I'm going to write. So,
Okay, so everyone's got to buy Dead Beautiful so she'll get her 2nd book published.
Yeah, I don't have a series either. My first 2 books were, the first one was Into the Wild, and the second one was Out of the Wild, clearly related to the title. But I tend to not, I wasn't planning to do a sequel when I got to the end of Into the Wild. It's just I got to the end and was like, oh, I miss those characters. And writing the sequel was such a fun writing experience, because it's like visiting old friends and then like turning their lives upside down. It was really fun.
Any other questions? Well, Cinda, you were saying that it's now going to be a tetralogy?
Is that what it is?
Well, that's the correct term. The quartet actually is 4 people singing at once. But the publishing industry understands that most people can't pronounce tetralogy, so they've gone to quartet. But being a stickler myself. So we should not refer to it as a trilogy.
Right.
It is now an official series.
Now, it's an official series.
There's a lot of that going around.
And are we going to see any more, Princeton?
I'm not sure. I kind of missed the character. The next book that I have coming is called Drink, Play, Love. It's about a vampire girl who is kind of evil and gets stabbed through the heart by a unicorn and develops a conscience. So much fun to write. Nothing to do with this book or the prior one, which is Talking Polar Bears.
Do I take a slight desire to do a number of the vampire story?
I had fun.
Unicorn versus vampires.
We're a unicorn, actually.
Okay, well, then if no one has any other questions... Oh, we have another question.
This is a question for Cinda about your books. What lies outside of the 7 realms? Because I think there are a few mentions of it, but we never find out. And is it going to play a role?
Yeah, I left that part off the map, but actually there, in the first series that I wrote, The Star-Marked Border, there actually was some action that took place across the Indian Ocean in Carthus, and Carthus is kind of a desert kingdom that they really have trouble making a living because it's a desert, so it has spawned quite a few pirates. So pirates really, they sail across India and raid the land between the waters, which is where the 7 realms is. So yeah, I definitely have. You don't fall off the edge of the cliff when you leave the 7 realms, but yeah, that hasn't really. It's kind of fun because being aware of all this other stuff that's gone on to make references to Carthus and pirates and so forth, because I have that background, but it's